All right, did everyone mute themselves? All right, welcome back to BYOB, Bring Your Own Book, the book club for busybodies. I'm Nicole. So we just finished talking a little bit about our books, and now we have some questions. So I wanted to, who wants to start us off?
Okay, so Latoya, I have a question about your book. It's called Parenting. Is this a book that you would recommend only for new parents, or will it be just general parenting, a good parenting book in general?
Okay, that's a great question because that's what I wondered too when I first got it, but it's actually for all parents in general because it covers from the early stages of infanthood all the way up to actually adulthood. And how parenting pretty much never stops, and so it's really good. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it in general, not just for new parents. I think wherever you find yourself in parenting, you can read this book.
Thank you. That's good information.
Thank you. Okay.
And I love the fact that you said it never stops, and that is so true. It is not so I laugh at that commercial all the time where the lady's like, I'm off today. All right, Kiana, I have a question for you. Call to Create. So I'm interested in that book. I've seen it before. I was trying to get an idea of what level of creativity are they going towards, though? Are they handling like over a period of time, or are they trying to get somebody more creative, or are they working with what you have? Like what's going on there?
Let me make sure you can hear me. When I picked it up, I thought it was going to be, focused on more creative types, like people we think of as creative types, like, artists, writers, musicians. It's really not. It really centers around the idea, and you mentioned this a little earlier, that we are created as creative beings, and that we each need to embrace that reality about ourselves. And then there's a heavy focus on entrepreneurs. So like early on in the book, he says, and he's like, there's a lot of scripture reference because it is, written with a biblical perspective. And so just going into like the second chapter of Genesis, he says like all of Genesis, the dominant characteristic God has revealed about himself is that he is a creator. So when human beings are created in his own image, the logical implication is that they will be characterized by the creativity of their creator. And that's really the premise that runs through the book. But what Rainer has done is he's done a lot of research on entrepreneurs, and particularly entrepreneurs who created and run their businesses with a biblical worldview, and how those businesses honor God. So it really ended up being a little different from what I thought, but very enlightening book.
Nice. I love that aspect of it, not just only being about entrepreneurship, but the creative business person who is, also making sure that they stay rooted in their faith.
Yes.
Okay. And I have a question for Nicole. If I understand right, Newsworthy is a collection of her thoughts and different poems that she wrote based on news articles. Is there anything that stands out, a story that really stood out to you in the book? That's something that really captured your attention? And if so, which one and why?
Oh, awesome. A lot of it stood out to me just as a whole. It wasn't so much individual pieces as much as it was more a body of, not body of work, but like a story being told and unfolding through this one character. And so what stood out to me the most was when she brought in areas of Houston, which is something I like to do as a writer as well, is like, infuse parts of our community in our writing. And she does that quite a bit. So I'm trying to turn to, it now, but it was one in particular. It could be something lighthearted, like soft news, or it could be hard news like Sandra Bland. Even though this is a international story, we know that it wasn't rooted in Houston per se, but it had so many ties to a lot of us, especially with it being so close to home at Prairie View A&M. So when she did pay homage to Sandra Bland, that was really really nice to not leave this book without that reminder that we must remember the names of individuals who have lost their lives to, just, we weren't in the room. We don't understand all aspects, but we understand what doesn't feel right. And so that would be one of the more serious pieces that I really liked. But she also had a part where it was like Houston to pool party. So she's just navigating, just living life, but also infusing some parts of her community in her work, which I'm always a fan of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask a question to Belisa. And, I think about your book and the title and the concept and idea of, getting out of your head, kind of getting out of your way. And I think sometimes I'm in my way because I'm a very creative person who's not a risk taker, which is its own irony and paradox, right? So, from your reading so far, I think you said you're about 8 chapters in. What would you say is the advice or the statement that just you keep finding yourself going back to, the thing that's resonating with you from this author's work?
Okay, great question. And actually, it was one of the quotes that he basically said that I'm not my thoughts, change your thoughts, change your life. And it's funny that I heard that or read that in his book, because some years ago I did a affirmation board. And one of my little snippets was change your mind, change your life. So it's pretty much the same thing he's saying here. Your mind can take so much, it can make you or break you, basically, in my mind. And so with that being said, you have your thoughts, you really need to control your thoughts and what you think about yourself, how you think about anything that you do. He made reference to something as simple as washing dishes or folding clothes. In our mind, we just don't want to do it, but let's just get out there and do it. Don't think about it, just do it. So I hope I answered your question, but that is one thing that came back to me was, change your thoughts, change your life. And we can have so many thoughts of doing anything. It's not until we actually put action to those thoughts that we will be successful.
Awesome. I didn't know if Kiana wanted to say something after, but I had to do the little. I wanted to add something.
I will say, yeah, that answers the question. Gives me some insight, and I appreciate that.
All right.
My pleasure.
Okay, so we are definitely just looking at our books from different angles, and I don't want you to miss the next part. So we'll be back after these messages. All right, as you can see, I'm getting my timer ready because this is round 2, which means it is the speed round. So in 1 minute, we're going to do a lot, okay? And what this is just us sharing what we normally read, because we know that different people read different things and we celebrate the individual. in us all. So that's one thing. The other thing is I would like for us to get out what the book, like what was the effect that the book had on you. And last but not least, we're going to score these. And if you've seen our first episode, you kind of know our score right down from 1 through 5. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and go first. Let's get this going. Hold on 1 second. So I'm timing myself. I have a minute. All right. Newsworthy by Deborah Mouton. I would say the effect that it had on me, it kept me wanting to see more work from Houstonians or just Houston residents that actually pay homage to aspects of what we love, what we don't love, and just things of that nature, just our life, Southern stories, get them on out there. As far as what books do I normally read nonfiction. I will get through a nonfiction book because I'm always thinking about what can improve some aspect of my life. When I do read fiction, it has to be some edge to it, something like a suspense thriller would work. And yeah, I gave it a 5. I gave it a 5. Almost lost my paper. Did it in time. All right, who's next?
I'll go.
All right.
Okay. So the types of books that I like to read are self-help books. And I'm just, as I mentioned many times, just trying to improve myself. And then what effect did this book have on me? It basically, and the book is Unf Yourself. I hate saying it, I really do. But basically, and get out of your head and into your life. The effect that it had on me was basically what the part of the title states. Get out of your head. We can stop ourselves from doing so many things. So one thing that I did appreciate in the book, it talks about just being, you don't have to know everything. Go ahead and go with the uncertainty. So with that being said, I saw my thing. My time, I gave it a 5, even though I'm not fully finished, but it's a 5. Thank you.
You made it. All right, who's next?
Okay, I'll go. You start my timer. Okay. So the book that I am reading now is Parenting. And the effect that it had on me is just made me to give myself more parenting grace. Like, not be so hard on myself. Like, it's okay to have bad days, and bad moments doesn't mean you're a bad parent. And so it just helped to remind me to bring it back to God and just, just slow down sometime. So I will give it so far, I haven't finished yet, but I give it 5 stars. If you can see my stars, 5 stars. And then books that I usually read, I don't have like a certain type of book I read. I love books and I love beautiful words. And so it can be fiction, nonfiction, it can be fantasy. So a little bit of everything. So that's it.
Okay. Nice. With 13 seconds to spare.
Okay.
All right. Now, Kiana, you may have to refresh.
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, so as I said, I'm reading Call to Create by by Jordan Rayner, and I'm finding the book to be just really mind-opening for me. It's kind of helping me to get out of my own head, because sometimes the things that I'm most creative about I would kind of put into the hobby box. And so Rayner's challenging me to really use my creativity more vocationally as an entrepreneur. So that's really mind-opening. I usually read fiction. If I'm not reading fiction, though, it's Christian self-help or professional books in the field of education. And I would give this particular book, I am going to give it 5 stars. because I do think it's one that I find I keep picking it up, I keep going back to it, and it's really impacting my life.
Awesome. Okay, well, this was my least favorite part of the meetup. This means it's over. So before we go, I just want to thank a couple of important individuals, which will be the Lit for Life readers. Thank you so much for being here. Yay. All right, and of course, our proud sponsors. Thank you so much for believing in 1, literacy, 2, eateries, and different positive lituations. We love you guys. And then our viewers, we appreciate you checking in, commenting, and sharing exactly what you're reading. What are you loving about your book? And then maybe not what you're not loving about your book. That's fine as well. We're open. So to our viewers in general, you know how to continue watching. You can definitely take advantage of the links below. You can subscribe, you can share, you can join the journey, the Lit for Life journey. So it's been a pleasure being your host. I'm Nicole Williams. Until then, stay safe and read on. This has been Bring Your Own Book, the book club for busybodies.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.